Lena was a quiet and thoughtful little girl who always noticed things others did not. She had bright eyes that sparkled with curiosity and a small smile that made everyone feel warm when they looked at her. But what Lena loved most in the world was her dog, Max. Max was not like other dogs. He was gentle, intelligent, and seemed to understand every small word and gesture from Lena. From the way she blinked to the way she tapped her finger, Max always knew what she meant. They had been together since Lena could barely walk, and over time they had built a silent language only they could understand. One bright morning, Lena's father received a letter that made his hands shake. He was called to a courtroom for a case that seemed important, though he did not know many details. Lena could see the worry in his eyes. He tried to hide it, but she noticed every small line on his face. Lena wanted to help her father in any way she could. She knew she could not go inside the courtroom by herself, but Max could. Max was a special service dog, trained to be calm, intelligent, and helpful in many situations. That meant he could enter places where ordinary pets could not. Lena held Max's leash tightly as they walked toward the tall gray building where the courtroom was located. The doors were heavy and made a loud sound as they opened. Inside, people in suits walked quickly, talking to each other in serious voices. Lena felt a little nervous, but she also felt excitement. She had always been clever for her age, and she had an idea in her mind. She had seen small signs that sometimes adults ignored, small mistakes or hidden things that could make a difference. Today, she wanted to help in a way no one expected. Max walked calmly beside her, his ears slightly lifted, alert to every sound. Lena whispered softly, "We have to be careful, Max. We will show them the truth." Max wagged his tail gently as if he understood every word. Lena smiled, feeling confident in their secret plan. She knew she could trust Max completely, and she also knew he trusted her. That trust made them stronger than anyone else in the room, even if they were small. Outside the courtroom doors, Lena watched people go in and out. Her father went inside, and Lena could see him sitting nervously in the big chair at the center of the room. She noticed how the judge looked serious and how the lawyers spoke with confident voices. Lena's sharp eyes noticed something that made her heart beat faster. A man carrying papers moved suspiciously toward the courtroom door. He looked around as if he did not want anyone to see him. Lena's intuition told her these papers could cause problems for her father if no one stopped him. She leaned close to Max and gave him a small tap on the paw, a signal only he would understand. Max tilted his head, his eyes focused on Lena. He was ready. Lena took a deep breath and thought carefully. Every step had to be perfect. Max was smart enough to follow her signals, and she knew that if she guided him correctly, they could stop the danger without anyone realizing it. Lena's small hand rested on Max's head and she whispered, "We can do this together. Be brave, Max." The two waited quietly, hidden just enough so that no one would notice them. Lena kept her eyes on the door, ready for the exact moment to act. Max sat calmly, but inside he was ready too. He was trained for moments like this, when silence and patience could make a big difference. Lena's mind worked fast. She remembered all the times she and Max had practiced small tricks at home, small secret signals that could mean anything. Today those tricks might save her father from trouble. Lena's heart was steady and her small smile returned. She felt brave knowing she had Max by her side, and then the moment came. Lena saw the man getting closer to the courtroom door. She gave Max a tiny blink and a nod, the signal they had practiced many times. Max's ears perked up. He understood immediately. Lena held her breath, her eyes never leaving him. The quiet, clever little dog was ready to move, and Lena felt a sense of pride. Together they were a team that no one could easily stop. A little girl and her remarkable dog ready to protect the truth. Inside the courtroom, the atmosphere was tense. Lena's father sat quietly, listening carefully to the words of the lawyers and the judge. He tried to focus on every detail, but his mind wandered to Lena. He wished she could be there with him. Outside, Lena and Max waited patiently, hidden near the doorway. Lena's sharp eyes scanned every movement in the courtroom. She was determined to protect her father, and she knew Max could help. Lena noticed something unusual. A man in a dark suit moved strangely. He glanced around quickly, clutching a stack of papers in his hand. His eyes darted nervously from side to side, as if he hoped no one was paying attention. Lena's heart beat faster. She understood immediately that the papers were important and that they could harm her father's case if they were given to the wrong people. She knew she had to act fast. Lena whispered to Max, "It is time. Follow my lead." Max sat quietly, pretending to rest, but his muscles were tense and ready. He knew exactly what to do. Lena had trained him carefully over many months, teaching him small signals that no one else could understand. A blink of her eye, a tap on her hand, a small nod, each signal told Max exactly what to do. Today, those skills would be needed more than ever. The man in the courtroom moved closer to the judge's bench, preparing to hand over the papers. Lena's eyes widened as she realized how close he was. She gave Max a tiny tap on the paw, and the dog reacted immediately. Max slipped quietly through the slightly open door. He moved with perfect control, his steps silent and careful. No one noticed him. Lena's heart raced as she watched him approach the man with the papers. Max stopped just a few feet away from the man, his eyes focused and calm. Lena gave him another small signal, and Max gently took the papers in his mouth. The man tried to grab them back, surprised at how quickly Max moved, but Max was too fast. He turned and walked carefully toward the judge's bench, holding the papers securely. Every eye in the courtroom followed the little dog, but no one could understand how a small dog had entered the room and moved so confidently. Lena kept her focus sharp. She signaled Max again, guiding him to place the papers in front of the judge. Max obeyed perfectly, sitting down calmly and setting the papers gently on the floor. The judge bent down and picked them up, his eyes widening as he read what was on them. Lena held her breath. She knew that these papers revealed a hidden plan that could have caused great trouble for her father. Now the truth was coming forward. The man who had tried to hide the papers froze. He could not believe a little dog had discovered what he had been trying to keep secret. Other people in the courtroom whispered softly, amazed at what they were seeing. Lena smiled quietly from her hiding spot. Max had done exactly what she hoped he would. The plan they had practiced in secret had worked perfectly. Lena felt proud of her clever and brave dog. The judge looked closely at the papers and then around the courtroom. He realized that someone had carefully guided this small dog to bring the truth forward. His eyes softened as he glanced toward the door, though he did not yet know that Lena was the one behind Max's actions. Lena gave Max a small nod, signaling him to stay calm and ready for the next step. Max sat obediently, his tail wagging slightly, proud of the job he had done. In that quiet moment, Lena understood the power of teamwork. Even a little girl and her small dog could make a big difference when they were clever and brave. The courtroom, which had seemed so serious and intimidating, now felt a little smaller, a little more open to the unexpected. Lena's heart was steady and she felt confident. She knew that the next part of their plan would help her father even more. And so Lena and Max waited patiently, ready to act again if needed. The courtroom had no idea what was about to happen next, but Lena was prepared. With her sharp mind and Max's intelligence, they were ready to protect the truth no matter what. Lena gave Max a reassuring pat on the head, whispering softly, "Good job, Max, stay ready." Max sat quietly, understanding every word. Together they were unstoppable. The courtroom was silent as Max moved carefully across the polished floor. Lena watched from outside, her heart beating fast yet steady with determination. Max's small paws made no sound, but his eyes were sharp and focused. He carried the papers in his mouth gently as if he understood how important they were. Lena gave him a small nod and Max understood immediately. Every signal they had practiced over the months now mattered more than ever. The man in the dark suit who had tried to hide the papers stared in shock. He could not believe that a little dog had taken the papers right from him. His hands shook slightly and he looked around nervously. The other people in the courtroom were also surprised. Some whispered quietly to each other, unable to understand how Max had entered and moved so confidently. The judge, bending over the papers, was silent, his eyes scanning quickly. Max continued walking steadily toward the judge's bench. He avoided any obstacles, weaving through chairs and tables with perfect balance. Lena's signals guided him with precision. A small blink meant move slowly, a tap on the paw meant stop and wait, and a quiet nod meant place the papers carefully. Max followed every signal exactly, showing the calm and intelligence Lena knew he had. Lena's small smile grew. Her clever plan was working perfectly. The judge bent down to examine the papers more closely. His eyes widened as he read what was written. Lena's father looked up in confusion, noticing the papers that had suddenly appeared before him. He did not yet understand how they had arrived. The judge's face changed, showing a mix of surprise and realization. He understood immediately that someone had revealed important information that had been hidden from the court. Lena's heart raced as she gave Max another small signal. Max placed the papers neatly in front of the judge, sitting down and looking up patiently. The man in the dark suit stepped forward, trying to explain, but his voice trembled. No one could believe a small dog had uncovered such a serious secret. Lena's eyes shone with pride. Max was brave, smart, and obedient. Together they had done something that no one else could have imagined. The courtroom became quieter. All eyes turned toward Max and the judge. People whispered in amazement, realizing the unusual moment they were witnessing. Lena felt a sense of satisfaction. Her small signals, her careful planning, and Max's intelligence had made this possible. She knew that this was only the beginning, and that the truth would soon be fully revealed. The judge lifted the papers and held them carefully. He glanced toward the man who had tried to hide them. His expression was calm but firm. "These papers were intended to mislead this court," the judge said. His voice carried across the room. The man stammered, unable to respond properly. Max sat quietly, watching the judge and the man. His small tail wagged gently, proud of what he had done. Lena's father looked at Max and Lena, understanding that they had acted together to protect him. Lena gave Max another signal, patting his head lightly. Max remained still, obedient and patient, as if he knew the job was not fully finished yet. The courtroom had changed in those few moments. People looked at Lena and Max with new respect. They understood that this little girl and her dog had revealed the truth in a way no adult could have expected. Lena's cleverness, Max's intelligence, and their teamwork had created a moment of surprise and admiration. Finally, the judge carefully placed the papers on the desk. He looked around the room and spoke firmly. "This court will consider all evidence carefully, and the actions that have brought the truth forward are remarkable." Lena smiled quietly, proud of her dog and their shared plan. Max wagged his tail slowly as if he understood the praise. Together they had created a change that could protect her father and bring justice to the situation. As Lena watched Max return to her side, she felt a mix of relief and excitement. She knew that more challenges might come, but she was ready. With her sharp mind and Max's cleverness, they were prepared for anything. Lena whispered softly to Max, "Good work, Max. We are a great team." Max nudged her hand with his nose, showing his trust and understanding. Lena's small heart swelled with pride. They had already achieved something extraordinary, and she knew this was only the start of their adventure in the courtroom. The judge held the papers carefully in his hands, reading each word with great attention. His eyes widened as he realized what had been hidden. Lena's father leaned forward, curious and anxious. He had never expected that the truth could appear in such a surprising way. The judge's calm voice filled the courtroom as he spoke, but there was a hint of surprise in his tone. "These papers reveal information that was meant to mislead this court," he said clearly. Everyone in the room froze, trying to understand how such hidden details had come to light. Lena watched from her hiding spot, her small heart beating with pride. Max sat obediently by her side, his ears alert and his tail wagging slowly. Lena knew that he understood every little signal she had given him. They had worked together perfectly. Max had carried the papers to the judge with care and intelligence, and now the courtroom was beginning to see the truth. Lena's clever plan had worked better than she had imagined. The man in the dark suit who had tried to hide the papers looked stunned. His face turned pale and his hands shook slightly. He could not believe that a small dog had revealed the secret that he had tried so hard to keep hidden. The lawyers and other people in the courtroom whispered quietly to each other. No one had ever seen anything like this before. Lena felt a small smile cross her face. Max was brave, smart, and quick. Together they had changed the situation in an instant. The judge placed the papers carefully on the desk in front of him and looked up at the man who had tried to deceive the court. "It is clear that these actions were intended to hide the truth," the judge said firmly. His eyes were serious, but there was a sense of admiration for the little dog that had delivered the evidence. The courtroom remained silent, waiting for the judge to continue. Lena's father looked at Max with surprise and gratitude, realizing how much the dog had helped. Lena gave Max a small tap on his paw, a signal to stay calm and alert. Max obeyed immediately, sitting quietly and watching the courtroom carefully. Lena could see that the judge was now thinking about the next steps. The evidence was clear, and the truth could no longer be hidden. The people in the courtroom began to understand that the little girl outside and her clever dog had made a difference. Lena felt proud, knowing that their teamwork had worked perfectly. The judge stood and addressed the courtroom. "Thanks to this extraordinary action, we now have the full information to make a fair decision," he said. His voice was calm but firm. The man who had tried to hide the papers had no answer. His plan had been stopped by a small dog and a little girl who had noticed the danger. Lena felt a surge of confidence. She had known from the beginning that she and Max could help, and now everyone could see it too. The courtroom began to feel lighter, though the tension remained. People whispered quietly, amazed at the intelligence and bravery of Lena and Max. The judge carefully reviewed the papers again, ensuring that every detail was understood. Lena's father smiled quietly at his daughter and her dog. He realized that her cleverness and Max's training had revealed the truth in a way no one else could. Lena felt happy. She had not only helped her father, but she had also shown that even a small person and a small dog could make a big difference. Max wagged his tail gently and nudged Lena's hand with his nose, showing his understanding and pride. Lena patted him softly, whispering, "We did it, Max. We are helping the truth win." Max sat obediently, alert and ready for anything. Lena could feel the sense of accomplishment and relief in her heart. They had acted quietly, carefully, and bravely. The courtroom, which had seemed serious and intimidating, now felt different. Lena and Max had created a moment of surprise, admiration, and respect. The judge finally looked up and addressed the people in the courtroom again. "This court recognizes the actions that brought the truth forward. Such cleverness and careful observation are rare. The evidence will now be considered properly and the case will proceed fairly." Lena's small eyes sparkled with pride. Max sat beside her, calm but proud. Together they had made a real difference. Lena knew that more challenges could come, but she also knew that with Max by her side they could face anything. Today had shown her that courage, cleverness, and teamwork could change even the most serious situations. The courtroom was filled with a quiet tension. Lena's father sat upright, feeling a mix of relief and curiosity. He had never imagined that a small dog and a clever little girl could reveal something so important. The judge adjusted his glasses and looked at the papers again, making sure every detail was clear. Lena watched from her spot, holding Max's leash tightly. Her heart was steady, but she could feel the excitement building. Max sat calmly, his ears alert, ready for her next signal. The man who had tried to hide the papers looked nervous. He fidgeted in his seat, unable to meet anyone's eyes. His plan had failed, and everyone could see it. The lawyers whispered to each other, astonished by the unexpected turn of events. Lena's father cleared his throat and looked toward the judge. He felt a small smile forming, a quiet hope that the truth would finally be understood. Lena's small plan had worked perfectly so far, but she knew they had to stay careful until everything was clear. The judge spoke in a calm, steady voice. "With the new information provided, we can now examine the case properly. The court will take into account all evidence presented, and justice will be served." Lena's father felt his shoulders relax slightly. The judge's words gave him hope, and he looked toward the papers that Max had delivered. Max's tail wagged slowly, sensing the relief in the room. Lena patted his head gently, proud of her faithful companion. Together they had changed the outcome before the courtroom even realized it. Lena gave Max a subtle signal, a small blink and a nod. Max understood immediately. Though the immediate danger had passed, he remained alert, ready to act if needed. Lena had trained him well, and he trusted her completely. She watched the judge carefully, noticing the thoughtful expression on his face. He was reviewing the papers once more, connecting all the details. The truth was now visible to everyone, and Lena could see that justice was beginning to take its course. The judge looked around the courtroom, making eye contact with the man who had tried to hide the papers. "It is clear that the intent to mislead the court has been exposed. This court values honesty and transparency above all," he said firmly. The man's hands shook slightly as he listened. He could not argue against the evidence that had been revealed by a small dog guided by a little girl. Lena felt a quiet sense of satisfaction. Her clever signals and careful planning had worked perfectly, and Max had executed every step flawlessly. Lena's father spoke quietly to the judge, explaining his side of the story. With the new papers, his explanation made sense and was supported by evidence. The lawyers listened carefully, noting the details they had previously missed. The courtroom began to change. What had seemed tense and stressful now held a sense of order and fairness. Lena smiled quietly, realizing that their teamwork had helped her father present the truth clearly and confidently. Max remained calm, his small presence steadying the room in a way that no one had expected. People in the courtroom whispered quietly, amazed at the intelligence and bravery of Lena and Max. The judge nodded slightly, acknowledging the cleverness of their actions without directly pointing to Lena yet. Lena's eyes sparkled as she realized that even in a serious place like a courtroom, small courage and smart thinking could make a big difference. Max nudged her hand gently, showing that he was proud of what they had done together. The judge then called the court to attention and spoke with a clear voice. The evidence has been reviewed thoroughly, thanks to the actions that revealed the hidden information. This court recognizes the efforts that have brought the truth forward. All parties will now be able to present their arguments fairly, based on accurate information. Lena's father felt a sense of confidence growing inside him. He knew that with the truth on his side, the case would proceed justly. Lena gave Max a reassuring pat, whispering softly, "We are doing well, Max. Stay ready." Max remained alert, obedient, and proud. Lena felt a sense of accomplishment, knowing that even a small person with a brave dog could make a significant difference. The courtroom, once tense and uncertain, now had a sense of fairness. Lena and Max had created a moment of courage, cleverness, and teamwork that would be remembered long after the day ended. With her heart full of pride, Lena stayed alert, knowing that the final outcome depended on continued careful observation and the truth being fully presented. Max sat faithfully by her side, ready for whatever came next. Together they had begun to turn the tide, and justice was now within reach. The courtroom was now calm, but the tension of earlier moments still lingered. Lena stayed close to Max, her eyes sharp and alert. She knew the case was not fully over yet, and she wanted to make sure everything went smoothly. Max sat quietly by her side, watching the room carefully. Every movement in the courtroom was important, and Lena's small signals kept Max ready for anything. Their teamwork had already revealed the hidden papers, and now Lena felt it was time to continue helping her father. Her father spoke clearly and confidently to the judge, explaining the situation in detail. With the papers Max had delivered, his story made perfect sense. The lawyers listened closely, some nodding as they realized the new information made the case much clearer. Lena's heart swelled with pride. Max had been brave and clever, and together they had helped her father present the truth. She knew that even small actions could have a great impact when done with care and intelligence. The judge leaned forward slightly, reading the papers again. His expression was serious but thoughtful. He looked at Lena's father and then glanced toward Max. The little dog sat calmly, wagging his tail softly, as if he understood the importance of the moment. Lena gave Max a small nod, signaling him to stay alert and ready. Max responded immediately, his eyes fixed on the judge and the people around him. Lena felt a sense of relief knowing that her companion was always ready to act when needed. The man in the dark suit who had tried to hide the papers now sat silently, unsure of what to say. He had not expected a little dog to reveal his secret plan, and the courtroom's attention was fully on him. Lena's clever signals had guided Max perfectly, and now the man had no choice but to face the truth. The judge spoke firmly. This court cannot accept misleading actions. The evidence now presented will be fully considered in the proceedings. Lena's father nodded, feeling a growing sense of confidence. Max remained calm and obedient. Lena's signals were subtle, guiding him without drawing attention. A small tap on her hand, a blink of her eye, each signal kept Max alert. Lena knew that even though the immediate danger had passed, her dog's intelligence could still help. The courtroom seemed to change in those moments. People whispered quietly, amazed at how a small dog had acted with such purpose and courage. Lena's pride in Max grew even stronger. The judge carefully reviewed all the papers and then addressed the courtroom. It is clear that the hidden information has now been revealed. Thanks to the actions that brought this truth forward, the court can proceed fairly. All parties will now have the opportunity to present their evidence and arguments based on accurate information. Lena's father felt a deep sense of relief. With the truth fully revealed, he knew the case could finally be judged correctly. Lena gave Max a gentle pat on his head. He nudged her hand with his nose, a small sign of pride and understanding. She smiled quietly. Together they had turned a dangerous situation into a moment of clarity and justice. The courtroom, which had been tense and uncertain, now held a sense of respect for their courage and cleverness. Even the judge seemed impressed by the small dog and the little girl who had orchestrated the revelation. As the lawyers began to speak, presenting the case with the new evidence, Lena watched carefully. Max stayed alert, his body calm but ready for any sign from her. Lena knew that their teamwork had already made a difference, and now it was helping her father explain his side clearly. The courtroom, which had been filled with tension and uncertainty, now felt balanced and fair. Lena's careful observation and Max's intelligence had created a sense of order. Finally, the judge looked around the courtroom and spoke again. This court recognizes the clever actions that brought the truth to light. The evidence will now be reviewed fairly and the proceedings will continue with full understanding. Lena's father smiled, his confidence growing. Max wagged his tail slowly, proud of the part he had played. Lena patted him softly, whispering, "We are doing great, Max. Stay ready." Together, they had shown that courage, intelligence, and teamwork could create remarkable results. Lena felt a quiet joy in her heart. She had helped her father, guided Max, and revealed the truth in a place where adults had failed to notice. The courtroom, once tense and intimidating, now held a sense of fairness and respect. Lena knew that more challenges could come, but she also knew that with Max by her side, they could face anything. Together, they had already made a lasting difference. The courtroom was quiet, filled with attention and curiosity. Lena's father had begun to feel more confident now that the hidden papers had been revealed. The judge carefully listened to every word, reviewing the evidence again. Lena stayed close to Max, her eyes scanning the room for any sign of trouble. Max sat patiently beside her, alert but calm. He had already proven his bravery, but Lena knew that small signals could be needed again to help her father. Their teamwork had been remarkable so far, and Lena felt proud. The man in the dark suit who had tried to hide the papers now sat nervously. His plan had failed, and he could feel the courtroom's eyes on him. He shuffled in his seat, unsure of how to respond. The lawyers whispered quietly to each other, amazed at what had happened. Everyone in the room realized that the little dog and his clever owner had done something extraordinary. Lena's small heart swelled with pride as she saw Max sitting calmly, his eyes fixed on her. He was ready for anything, and she knew he understood exactly what to do. The judge stood and spoke with authority. This court recognizes that important information has been revealed, and it is clear that the intent to mislead has been exposed. We will now consider the evidence properly and the proceedings will continue fairly. Lena's father smiled quietly. The judge's words brought hope, and he finally felt that justice was possible. Lena watched the expressions of the people around her. Their surprise and admiration were clear. No one had ever expected a small dog and a little girl to change the course of a serious case. Lena gave Max a subtle signal, a gentle tap on his paw. Max responded immediately, remaining alert. Lena knew that although the main danger had passed, Max's readiness could still make a difference. She looked toward the judge and saw him reviewing the papers carefully. Lena's plan had worked perfectly. The hidden secrets had been exposed, and now the courtroom could focus on truth and fairness. She felt proud and confident that they had acted wisely. The lawyers began to speak, presenting arguments based on the now revealed evidence. Lena's father explained his side clearly, using the information that Max had delivered. The courtroom listened intently, following the facts closely. Lena could see that her father's confidence was growing with every word he spoke. Max sat quietly beside her, a steady presence that seemed to inspire calm in the room. Lena patted him softly, whispering, "We are helping, Max. Stay ready." Max's eyes met hers, showing understanding and pride. The judge nodded slightly as he listened. "The evidence presented now gives a complete view of the situation," he said. "Thanks to the actions that revealed the truth, this court can proceed with fairness." Lena's father looked relieved. He realized that the courage and cleverness of his daughter and her dog had made a real difference. Lena smiled quietly. She felt proud that their careful teamwork had created a moment of clarity and honesty in the courtroom. The man in the dark suit could not respond. His plan had failed completely, and he understood that nothing he said could change the truth that had been revealed. Lena noticed him glance at Max as if he was trying to understand how a small dog could be so intelligent. Lena felt a small sense of satisfaction. Max had been brave, careful, and clever, and together they had changed the course of events. Finally, the judge looked at everyone in the courtroom, his voice calm but firm. This court acknowledges the extraordinary actions that brought the hidden information forward. The evidence is now clear, and all parties will have the opportunity to present their case fairly. Lena's father nodded gratefully, feeling a strong sense of relief and confidence. Max wagged his tail slowly, proud of the role he had played. Lena patted him gently, whispering, "We are almost done, Max. We did very well." As the courtroom settled, Lena felt proud and happy. Their small signals, clever teamwork, and courage had made a real difference. She had helped her father, guided Max, and revealed the truth in a place where adults had failed to notice. The judge, lawyers, and everyone in the courtroom now looked at Lena and Max with respect. Together, they had shown that even the smallest efforts, when done with intelligence and care, could create extraordinary results. Lena's heart swelled with pride. The courtroom was quiet, filled with anticipation. Lena's father felt a mix of relief and pride. He had never imagined that a little girl and her dog could make such a difference in a serious case. The judge carefully reviewed all the evidence, including the papers that Max had delivered so courageously. Lena stayed close to Max, her eyes scanning the room to make sure everything went smoothly. Max sat calmly beside her, alert and ready for any signal she might give. The judge finally looked up and addressed the courtroom. This court recognizes the extraordinary actions that have revealed hidden information. Thanks to these actions, all evidence can now be reviewed properly, and the case can proceed fairly. Justice will be served based on truth and clarity. Lena's father felt a wave of relief wash over him. The judge's words gave him hope and confidence. He realized that the courage and cleverness of his daughter and her dog had created a fair opportunity to present the truth. The man who had tried to hide the papers now sat quietly, realizing that nothing he could say would change what had been revealed. His plan had failed completely, and the courtroom was aware of the truth. Lena's father glanced at Lena and Max, his eyes full of gratitude. He understood that their clever teamwork had been the key to exposing the hidden plan. Lena felt a quiet pride in her chest. Max wagged his tail slowly, sensing the satisfaction and calm in the room. The lawyers began to speak, presenting the arguments in a clear and honest way. Lena's father explained his side confidently, using the evidence that Max had brought to the judge. Everyone listened carefully, following the facts closely. Lena could see the respect in the judge's eyes and in the expressions of the other people in the courtroom. They had witnessed something extraordinary. A little girl and her clever dog had revealed the truth in a way that no one could have expected. Lena gave Max a small signal, patting his head gently. Max responded immediately, sitting quietly but alert. He had completed his task perfectly, but Lena knew he was ready if anything else happened. The judge continued to speak, ensuring that the evidence was understood and that the proceedings were fair. Lena's father felt confident, knowing that the truth had been revealed. Lena smiled quietly, proud of Max and of herself. Together, they had acted with intelligence, courage, and care. Finally, the judge made his decision. Based on the evidence presented, and thanks to the actions that brought hidden information forward, this court rules in favor of Lena's father. The truth has been revealed and justice is served. Lena's father felt his shoulders relax. A bright smile spread across his face. He looked at Lena and Max, his eyes full of love and gratitude. Lena's heart swelled with pride. She had helped her father, guided Max, and brought the truth to light. The courtroom erupted in quiet applause. People whispered in admiration, amazed at the bravery and cleverness of Lena and her dog. The judge smiled, patting Max gently on the head. "You are remarkable," he said softly. Max wagged his tail, happy and proud. Lena ran forward and hugged Max tightly, whispering, "We did it! Max, we did it together." Max licked her face gently, showing his understanding and joy. Lena's father joined them, kneeling down to hug his daughter and pat Max. "Thank you both," he said. "You were brave, clever, and careful. You have helped more than you know." Lena felt proud of what they had accomplished. She realized that courage, teamwork, and clever thinking could make a difference even in the most serious situations. Max sat calmly beside them, proud of the part he had played. After the courtroom proceedings ended, Lena, Max, and her father walked outside into the fresh air. The sun shone brightly, and Lena felt a sense of happiness and accomplishment. People passing by looked at them with admiration, some smiling at the little girl and her clever dog. Lena held Max's leash tightly and whispered, "We did it, Max, the truth won." Max barked softly as if agreeing. Lena's father smiled at them, feeling proud of his daughter's bravery and intelligence. From that day on, Lena and Max became known in their town for their clever teamwork and courage. People talked about the little girl who gave secret signals to her dog in the courtroom and how they revealed the truth together. Lena and Max had shown that even small actions, when guided by intelligence and care, could make a big difference. Lena held Max close, smiling, knowing that with her loyal dog by her side, they could face any challenge together. Lena felt proud, happy, and confident. Max wagged his tail, sensing her feelings. Together, they had changed the course of events, revealed the truth, and shown everyone that courage and clever thinking could win. Lena and Max walked home, ready for their next adventure, knowing that teamwork and intelligence could always create extraordinary results.